Hello, fellow Star Wars fans. My name is Starrapter. Welcome back to the channel. Buckle up. This is going to be a long episode of comic book reviews because we have a record of Marvel releases on a single day. We have 5 comics to talk about, ranging from none other than Han Solo and Chewbacca, to Doctor Aphra, to Yoda, to the Blade, and to the High Republic. We're talking about all that. We're going to go a little bit less in detail than we usually do on the channel here because I want to keep this short and sweet to give you guys the best details about all these really cool comics that came out this week. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more talk on Star Wars comics. So cutting to the chase here, we have Han Solo and Chewbacca, issue number 8. Finally, this one was delayed quite a bit, but the cover there says it all. We have Moff Tarkin making a cameo in this issue. So this one's written, of course, by Mark Guggenheim with artwork by David Messina, and it's also called Dead or Alive Part 3. So we have Han Solo, we have Greedo coming back together. They're on Tatooine. They get information from Greedo about where the whereabouts of the Falcon are. They get on there and realize, hey, their ashes, the MacGuffin that Jabba had sent them for is now off of the Millennium Falcon. It was impounded, and we have the Empire that now has their hands on those ashes and has sent it to Grand Moff Tarkin, who has an interest for some reason in this artifact or whatever, the item in general. So they have to create this plan. Chewie, Han, and this person that they found, that Chewie found on this prison planet, it's up to them to get this item, and they think it's a suicide mission. Obviously, you're going to go to the capital of the Empire, Coruscant, but they have a plan. So we have Han Solo, we have Chewie working as sanitation, nice callback to Force Awakens, and then we have this female character they're paired with who pretends she's a droid to get Moff Tarkin out of the room along with the other Death Troopers there. And they do successfully obtain the object, and they have to make a quick escape, and they jump through the windows, they land on a train. It's kind of like a Solo sequence with the train in that movie where we have stormtroopers on the roof, and one of them shoots Chewie, and he falls off the train, and that is our cliffhanger. So this issue in general was really fun, and again, Mark Guggenheim just such a great job with writing Han and Chewie. I can just hear Harrison Ford's delivery of these lines in my head as I'm reading the book, and it's just really neat seeing Coruscant and Chewie and Han there. I don't think that's ever been done or mentioned in a comic or a novel before, so there we go. We get to see more of Coruscant and that Imperial Age that we've seen established in Andor. Next up in this era of the Star Wars timeline, we have Doctor Aphra. This is issue number 27, called Control Issues, written, of course, by Alyssa Wong with artwork by Min-Kyu Jung. So in this issue, we have a big cliffhanger from last week where we had this whole thing with Spark Eternal that captured Dr. Aphra's body, and now they also bent the will of 000 and BT to their cause, and they have turned around in space, destroyed the Vault Cobra, or actually they let the bomb on there, destroyed the Vault Cobra. But, and we don't know this in the last issue, but this issue we pick up and we find out that Santa Staros and all the rest of the crew, Data and Aphra's father and all these other characters on board actually survived thanks to Just Lucky and Ariel. And those guys bring them back to their master, who is none other than Ronan Tag, who, remember, has been resuscitated. He's been resurrected. He's alive and well, and he has a grudge against his own aunt. So now he is saying, he's swinging his weight around saying, hey, since I saved Sana Saros and Tolvin and all you guys, you're working for me now. You don't have a choice. And they're saying, no, we have a choice. We're not going to cross Domina Tag. And he's saying, well, you don't want to cross Kira either, because that's who I'm actually working for, is the Crimson Dawn. So this big reveal of Ronan Tag worked for Crimson Dawn, and Sana Stars pledges her allegiance to the Crimson Dawn, to Ronan Tag, saying, hey, look, I think I'm going to stick with the person that's going to win, and that means I'm going to stick with Kira. I think she's going to outlast Domina Tag. So there we go, another crew of characters joining the Crimson Dawn alongside of the Bounty Hunters, with the character that we meet in there with the characters. There's so many characters to remember, guys. Tonga is the character I'm thinking. Tonga, Lotion, all those guys. So we have a lot of characters that are hero characters now joining what we think is the evil people, the Crimson Dawn. But maybe are they really evil? But we also have that plot B of this story, in which we have the Spark Eternal Aphra trying to basically hack, I guess, or touch the 000 and BT to shut up. And that's when the Aphra inside of the Spark Eternal that's trapped in her own head puts a failsafe hack on 000 and BT, and then basically injects a virus inside of the Spark Eternal, and that's how Aphra is able to get back into her skin, so to speak. And now she still has the character of the Spark Eternal kind of speaking through her head, but at least Aphra seems to have control of her human body at this point. So yes, with this Ascendant technology, things get very weird, very strange, and I would expect nothing less of this Doctor Aphra story. So good stuff there in this area of the Star Wars universe. But next up, we're going back in time. We have Yoda. This is number 2, Light and Life, Part 2. The Raid, of course, written by K. Van Scott with artwork by Nico Leon. Last we left off, this is sometime, I think, after Phase 2 of the High Republic, in between Phase 2 and Phase 3, I would imagine. And Yoda has gone to this planet with this person, Bree, to help, kind of stave off these raiders. And they've been causing havoc. The Kulkan. Anyway, so we have the characters of the Jedi Council that have a meeting with Yoda because he's been gone for some time. And they said, hey, look, are you really going to just be here for a while? And Yoda basically says, yeah, I'm going to be here as long as I want until I feel like it's time I can move on because these people need my help. And you see like a montage of Yoda just helping along with these people. And then the raiders come back again. Yoda gets captured, but purposely, because then Bree goes and gets an uprising to free Yoda, and Yoda says, hey, look, there's these innocent kids that have been captured by these people, and it makes the character of Bree really mad, who actually has the lightsaber of Yoda, and uses that lightsaber in anger to strike down one of the people of the Raiders, and that's where we leave off this issue. There's not a whole lot of depth, if I'm being honest, in this issue. It's just kind of like the plot heavy of, okay, this is where this character is going to show up. Yoda's here. Yoda's questioning his ideas with the Jedi as far as like, hey, nothing has to be set in stone where I have to be part of the Jedi Council in this room waiting all the time. I'm going to be there with the people, helping the people. So in reality, Yoda's doing what a Jedi should do. And I feel like in later years of his life, he has become like the rest of them, like Mace Windu and Kit Fisto and Kai Mani, very dogmatic in their approach of, yeah, we're going to just do our normal thing. So there you go. That was issue number 2 of the Yoda series. Getting back more into the High Republic, this is set Phase 2. We're going to jump into that about 350 years before the events of Phantom Menace. We have the long-awaited The Blade miniseries, issue number 1. It's written, of course, by Charles Soule, with artwork by Marco Castiello, and this is awesome. This story picks up with Porter Engle, the Blade of Bardota. This is the story about, we're learning about how he's called the Blade of Bardota. So we're seeing this character that was established in Phase 1 as this really, really friendly cook that's very happy to feed his people, makes a 9-egg stew, and we pick up in this issue, and we see him 150 years younger than in that time. And what is he doing in this first couple panels? He's perfecting his 9-egg stew, and obviously the people on that planet are not really happy with it because he's still got some work to do. He's got another 150 years to perfect that thing, but it's really neat seeing how he is interacting with his so-called sister, not really his sister, but their bond that they make as Jedi, as we see in a flashback, him and this character of Barash Sylvain, who happens to be a Kage, by the way, from the Clone Wars. You see in those characters. So they are just in the Outer Rim, and this is a good depiction of what the Jedi are doing. Certain Jedi are just going out there helping whoever they can. And there's this place called the Office of the Frontier, which basically gives the Jedi jobs, if you will, or like side quests if it's a video game. To be like, oh, these people need help, go help them. So we pick up on this world. It's called the Bone World, and that's where we're seeing him cook the 9-egg stew. There is a bit of a little argument going on outside about these, whoever claimed to get this resource. Somebody said it was on their property, some said it wasn't, and these people are going to get into a bloody just absolute duel at this point. And we see this awesome entrance by none other than Portal Angle, who's saying like, hey, my job as a Jedi is to prevent death from happening. So what is going on? And we see him kind of flaunting his skills where he's hovering with the Force, these sabacc cars or something. And then next thing you know, this guy shoots at Porter Angle and he deflects the blasters specifically through these cars as he's using the Force. So it just completely shows these people, oh, do not mess with Porter Engle. And we know that, in the lead up to this book, this is supposed to be the gunslinger Jedi, and you get a really great Western feel. So that's what they do there. And they're like, okay, him and Barash are like, let's get out of here. So they go to the office, they get a new task. They're going to try to prevent a big war from happening. And they need a ride, so they get a ride with these Jedi, not the Jedi, but the Pathfinders who happen to have Jedi. These are the people from the Republic that are going out into the wider realm of the galaxy, establishing communication lines, because at this point, the Outer Rim is a little bit shoddy when it comes to the communication. So they are hitching a ride there, and that's when we see one of the Jedi Masters is fighting against Porter Engle, or sparring, because he hears the reputation of how great of a swordsman he is, and we get to see something we've never seen in canon a Jedi do, and that is using the Force to just basically have the lightsaber like levitating, fighting the guy as he's standing back. It was something really cool, and even that Jedi Master he was sparring against was completely taken aback. But yeah, this issue does a great job of establishing itself where it is in the Star Wars timeline, bringing elements from the Pathfinders and just the overall Force. And there's only 4 issues in here, and Charles Soule has been always talking very highly of this issue. I mean, why wouldn't he? But it really feels like he is super excited about this for a good reason. I can't wait to read more. And finally, last thing for the High Republic, we have the High Republic issue number 3. This one here is, of course, written by Kevin Scott with artwork by the great Arya and Edito. This is the Balance of the Force storyline, Chapter 3, Tey Sirrek. And this issue is really the origin story of Tey Sirrek on Jedha as we know him in this issue. So issue 3 picks up where they end up in the Temple of the Kyber, I guess it is, and then you have the Guardians of the Will that are really not happy with seeing Tey Sirrek there, and we learned all about it in this issue because we go back to him being a Guardians of the Will, a Guardian of the Whills, and well, we have this whole problem where this one new kind of species called a Cragomoloid, this little elephant dude named Flim, basically pulls a fast one on somebody, pretends he's begging, and pickpockets the guy. And so Tey Sirrek is going after him, and then he gets reprimanded by his commander, who happens to be a Faline, which I got to give Kevin Scott some extra points for including him, as well as another Guardian of Whills, which is a Dracelian with glasses. A Dracelian with sunglasses. I mean, how cool is that? So, gotta give him credit for that, but I digress once again. So we have what is going on with Tey Sirrek trying to track down this little elephant guy, and the Guardians of the Whills, the commander's like, look, we don't have jurisdiction outside of our place, so do not get involved with anything outside. And Tey Sirrek is just straight up like, hey, look, this is the right thing to do. I feel like I need to do this. And that comes back to haunt him because this happens again with this guy stealing something else. And next thing you know, it gets involved where he finds this guy, Flint, dead. And then this commander guy is going after them because he double-crossed somebody. And it's this whole big ordeal. But basically, Tey Sirrek just looks back and says, I don't want to be a Guardian of the Will anymore because I just don't feel like it's in my ethics that I can continue to turn a blind eye to certain things going on. So we see that happening, and then back in current time, Tey Sirrek goes back to the Temple of the Kyber, and he tries to find out what is happening because an item has been stolen, and then he discovers a thermal detonator or some kind of bomb, and that's exactly when our lead Jedi character, Vildar Mack, is also investigating with the Guardians. And basically Force pushes this bomb out the window and it explodes, and that's that. But it's really cool because this is starting to tie in with The Path of Deceit by Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland, in which we find out that the character that is one of those prospectors, Sunshine Dobbs, is the one that I think was the one that stole that piece of artifact, and I believe this is called the Firebird of Kalasa, and I think that was something that was from Moraband from the Sith, if I'm not mistaken, because they did say it's about a millennium old or something like that. So yes, and we know the Path of the Open Hand has been sending out agents to take this, to take that for the Mother who's in charge. So we're getting ready to get right into this big dramatic kind of event called the Battle of Jedha, written by George Mann. The audio drama is going to be out next week, so this is a perfect time. This issue is just like getting me in the headspace of, okay, all hell's about to break loose when it comes to Jedha. So there you go. This was a great origin story for Tey Sirrek because I feel like after reading this, I really understand where this character is coming from. He's got a heart, but he just does stuff in a way that might rub people the wrong way, and that's fine. That is perfectly fine. So there you go. I think I was quite efficient in breaking down those 5 Star Wars comics this week. It's kind of weird how Marvel does this, right? Last week we had 0. Next week I think we have 1 issue at Star Wars number 30. But this week they just piled on 5 issues. So hey, I really can't complain because this is great Star Wars content. But it is always a little bit of a challenge to cover this all in one single sitting. So there you go. What'd you think about the comics that came out this week? Which ones were you the most intrigued by? Let's talk about it in the comment section down below. For more on Star Wars, you're already in the right place. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to this channel for more. We have the Bad Batch coming out just around the corner, so you can expect me to break it down on the podcast that I do, Outer Rim Transmission, on a weekly basis. So that's good there for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also included 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.